minute, Virgil, I'm talking. I may have been convinced to try and get this done in 5 hours. She said, we're all mid. Migraine gang, welcome to Punishing Gray Raven. Fingers crossed, man, fingers crossed. It's freaking bats. I should have been making jokes. There he is. Hi, friends. We have an event speedrun to do. But first, I logged in and got polls for the Lilith banner. So we're just gonna like run through these real quickly because I think I'm really close to getting, will probably be my first copy of Lilith, actually, if my game doesn't want to keep freezing today. Special rewards guaranteed in 1 poll. So this is gonna be a special reward because it's poll 20 on this banner. Okay, what is it? It's dark orange, so it should be, oh, Sorrow of Fata Morgana. Wait, that's a sick ass weapon. Oh my God. I love an umbrella weapon. I really do. That's a really cool weapon. See, now I want to main Lilith. That's sick. Keep the polls coming, I guess. Who else can run that? I don't think anyone, because that's the thing with PGR, is that characters have specific weapons. They're not interchangeable. So like, if I was playing Withering Waves, I could run that umbrella sword on anyone, but I can't do that here, unfortunately. So the collab patch ends today, like tonight. I'm not gonna be able to get the whole thing done. So instead, we are going to do a insta skip. We're just gonna not technically insta skip it, right? What we're gonna do is speed run the event content today. This video will end when I finish off all of the Phantasm, Devil May Cry collaboration stuff. So I have, with the reverse collab, which the content for that is going up alongside this content around the same time. Here's the deal. With that one, I did have player name rules in place, which is where when we finish the collab story, however I feel about the collab story, if I like it, then I'm gonna play the game it's inspired by. If I don't like it, then I'm not gonna play the game it's inspired by, you know, obviously. I don't think we're gonna be able to do that here. So the idea is, I was gonna base my decision off how I feel with the collaboration as a whole, but here's the deal. I didn't like the collab characters because I didn't like how Kuro did their kits. Dante and Virgil's kits are not my favorites because PGR has a couple different ways of doing character kits if you didn't watch the patch video because it was months ago at this point. And Dante and Virgil's kits are set up the one way I don't like how Kuro does kits. It's the same way that they did the kit setup for, oh God, what's her name? Oh my God. Here, let me go in here. Jetavi's kit, where like you switch between weapons sort of thing and the pings are weird. It's just not my, like, Jetavi's kit is like that. And obviously I have Jetavi double S on my account because she was free. She was in a free A rank and I just got enough copies for her that she's now at double S. So, you know, like I don't like Virgil and Dante's kits. So that being said, if I was basing my opinion of, do I want to play the thing? Do I want to play Devil May Cry series? The answer would be no. Like, it would be a nay. But I feel like that's not a fair deduction. I'm going to tap into, because this has 6 hours left and I don't know how many stages there is. Because if there's only like 6 stages, I can do it easy peasy. I think we just have to skip through. So I'm going to actually start with, I'm going to just go down my list. Oh, actually, if I go down my list, Lamento di Phantasma is first, then I need to finish out the Devils Never Die character trial thing. I think that's actually both of them technically, because I never finished that out. And then there's the boss challenge. So we're actually just gonna go down the list this way and start with Divine Finality boss challenge and speedrun that. I actually think I did I did Trial of Simulacrums. I basically finished that out during a reaction recap. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. We have 6 bosses here. Actually, what are there's good rewards for this. What do we need? 12 stars, essentially. Because I would just want the collab polls because I do want to use as many of the collab polls as I can, just so I don't have FOMO later on. So we have Phlegathon, Male Bowl, sure, Siren Dream, Unole, Empirin, and Predestination. This might suck. So with this one, we have to defeat Mirrored Virgil, get taken down no more than 5 times. Let's do 1. Do we have trial characters? Yes, and thank God I don't have to run the brothers. Because I don't like their kits. I don't. How do we want to run this? I think I can make this work. Bring in Solace Tune. Don't show me this. And then we have a tank and an amp. So I'm gonna, do we want to bring in another tank or another amp? Who do I know how to use? I'm gonna bring in Alyssa. Oh, we'll just do that. I'll main Vera, and if I want to switch to Solitude, I will do that. I don't like Dante and Virgil's kits, which is kind of like, you know, I might just do one stage of this so I can get the collectible and call it a day, because I don't need to do a ton of collab polls. I don't feel like I felt much more attached I felt much more attached back when we had the Nier Automata collaboration. I loved that collaboration, and before the Reverse 1999 Assassin's Creed collaboration. Can I have a minute, Virgil? I'm talking. Before the Reverse 1999 Assassin's Creed collab was a thing, the Nier Automata collaboration and Punishing Grave, and from a couple of years ago, was actually my favorite gacha collaboration ever. I thought it was the one that was the most well done. The characters were good, the rewards, the story, everything was really, really good. I will say the Assassin's Creed, specifically, Reverse 1999's collaboration with Assassin's Creed 2 is my new favorite. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, not as much. So I'm being very specific with it because I think the collab for 2 with Reverse is better than Odyssey, but I will talk about them more, obviously, in the Reverse videos. But I was really looking, and maybe it's because I had that expectation going into this, that Kuro can do a mean gacha game collaboration, and this just isn't that. Maybe it's because I haven't done much yet, but I don't know, man. Also, I did not set up my Vera team properly because I think Vera needs to be on yellow pings. Yeah, Vera needs to be yellow ping. Oopsies. To be fair, the last time I used Vera, though, was when we were doing the Trial of Simulacrums. And, are you done, Virgil? You done? It was when we were doing Trial of Simulacrums and there was really no, like, way out. I feel like I'm gonna switch, I think I'm gonna switch to Solitude. Oh, is he face doing? Yeah, he's face doing. I think we're just gonna do the one clear on this because I don't love it. I don't love it. Also, don't remember how Solitude works, so that's probably, I should really get a copy of Solitude. I need to move around this team if we use it again because nobody's in the right spot. Actually, hunting might be fine in blue. I feel like I'm just like not able to do anything here. Does this make sense? Like, I feel like I'm just like stuck. Yeah, we're gonna like single clear this, get my collectible, and just move on. Hey, Virgil, you done? Is he done? I'm just gonna do that ult. This is so, listen, I've talked about before that I don't like PGR combat, and I can say that because I've been playing PGR since global launch. On and off, sure, but I've been playing since global launch. And so I feel like that lets me, if I say I don't like PGR combat, it's been a couple years, I can say that. But I keep coming back because, my God, is the story good. Also, I love Kuro's character design, I really do. I mean, we're not gonna have any characters go down, but we're also, it's gonna take forever to finish this. I don't like how they did Dante and Virgil's kits. I don't like how they did the bosses. Not my fave. And I think it's because Devil May Cry is like a pretty heavy, like I think it's considered an action RPG, even more so than something like Punishing Gray Raven already kind of is. So like they're expecting the player base to come in like pretty skilled with action RPGs. So that doesn't surprise me that they kind of made the combat a little bit trickier. However, still don't like it. That also is kind of leading to me being like, okay, maybe Devil May Cry is just like a nay from me, you know? Like, and you know, maybe that's okay. Hey, Virgil, can you get down on the ground and fight me like a man, actually? Do we clear it? Am I finally done? I'm done, thank God. I mean, I technically cleared that easy. This one's mirrored Virgil. Is it just the same thing every time? Like, I guess we could keep going. I think we'll do that real quick. Also, I think if I do the story, I get a copy of Dante at the very least. Huh. And there's black cards. So I'm gonna come back. We'll come back to Divine Finality if we have time at the end of the video. I just don't want to sit here and do that for the entire bit. I might even finish Divine Finality off camera, quite frankly. But also I want to do my polls on camera, so we'll see. Devils Never Die, I think, is technically next. Yes. So with Devils Never Die, I started this during the patch video. As you can see, we did the basic tutorials and the field challenge part 1. And I said we'd come back. Now, I'm gonna say, I think we're gonna put that on pause for now, actually, because that's the same sort of bit where it's like, do I need to finish all of the stages for Devils Never Die? No, I did the main stages during the patch video, as we usually do. It was just if I have time at the end, we'll come back. So I think instead, Lamento di Phantasma, we're gonna speed run this bit, and which means that I'm gonna be skipping the story. If I pick up on any of those story beats and like them, there's a good chance I could put this on the schedule, but also I kind of am expecting to not put it on my backlog, and that's okay. So we're just gonna speed through these story bits and be on our merry way. Also, we do get an explanation, so we can kind of vibe with that. So with the prologue, Thomas Hell, which that's surely a name. I'm assuming that's a name from this series, maybe? I don't know. But Thomas has been attempting to reverse time using a hetero tower shard, which is a PGR thing. But years of failure send him spiraling into madness, triggering a series of chaotic events. So that's the prologue. Then we have the beginning. The land wakes up from sleep, and we have our main characters here, which that looks really cool, actually. I'm kind of like, do we want to play through it? It might take me all night. You know, I'm going to skip it for now and play back through. I think I may have been convinced. Just from that one art of the Grey Ravens alone, I think I may have been convinced to try and get this done in 5 hours. Let's give it a shot. So let's circle back to mediocre and Mr. Thomas Hell. He says the recording switch, it's already on. I'm gonna speedrun some of the dialogue though. The man on the frame walks to the office chair and lowers himself into it. He tugs at his lab coat, tightening it around his gaunt frame like a shroud. He says, I'm Thomas Hell. From now on, so I'm assuming he's recording this. Yeah, okay, he's recording it. Realizing his voice is tight with excitement, he licks his lips, hesitates briefly, then grabs the glass of water from the desk and downs it in one gulp. He says, from now on, I'll be recording my experiment logs on video. So, experiment log entry A-0001. The man leans towards the camera, his face slightly warped by the wide-angle lens. His eyes burn with an unnatural intensity, their gleam cutting through the pixelated haze of the screen, bright, almost feverish. We might actually be able to get this done. I'm gonna try. He says his name again, and then says, I don't even know how to describe what I'm feeling right now. This is such a crucial opportunity. I must succeed. So this is our tower here. The man rises from his chair and slowly approaches a cylindrical chamber nearby. There's bears in the back. This is definitely a reused asset because there's like bears. Perched atop a pedestal within the chamber rests a shard, resembling nothing more than an ordinary stone one might find along any roadside. And I will make it clear, I do not have a problem with gacha games reusing assets for side events, whether that be a collab event or just a normal in-game like flagship event. I have no problem with that as long as it matches, because that was actually a big gripe with the event for the Fate collab in Honkai Star Rail. The Britain incident, yeah, that's a bit, it feels a bit lazy. But there was reused assets in, again, I'm using the reverse Assassin's Creed collab as like the peak of gacha game collab comparisons right now, because I'm also doing it at the same time as this one, and I think it was done extremely well, and I'm not just saying that because I am a creator with reverse, I literally just think that. Like, if the Honkai Star Rail collab was better, I'd say it, but unfortunately, it's not. Anyways, reverse reused some assets and made some new ones in the Assassin's Creed collab. And you could, quite honestly, you could barely tell. I just recognized some of them because I've seen them a lot. But like the assets matched pretty well. I will say that. Anyways, there's nothing wrong with reusing assets in a collab story as long as they match. And this match is fine enough. There's just bears in the background. But yeah, we get a shard in the chamber. Thomas knows the infinite possibilities harbored within this shard, all because it comes from, he says, the hetero tower. I will reverse everything. So he's going to try to reverse the punishing virus. Is this correct? Or is he talking about something else that's actually related to Devil May Cry? Because that's the thing with a collab. I don't know what angle they're taking. His voice is firm, devout as a prayer. Okay. We have a little time jump. He says recording begins, experiment log entry. He gives a slow spin in his office chair, letting his body settle naturally against the backrest. He says, guess I should make future logs more formal. My mentor always stressed the importance of rigor. Back to the topic. Experiment log entry A-0014. So we went from 1 to now 14. The 14th experiment has concluded. Still no progress as expected. This is just the brief darkness before dawn. The situation will improve soon. Also, I might try to do voices later, but not right now. I don't want to do it right now. We're now on to experiment log entry B-5042. So we've gone through, seems like, that means we went through every number possible up to 9,999 in the A's, and now we're halfway through the B's. How many of these are you doing per day, bestie? How long has it been? He says no progress in the experiment. He runs a hand over the rough stubble shadowing his chin, his voice low and grave. Because here's the bit. Even uploading multiple videos a day, in the last, probably year, I think I've still uploaded under 1,000 videos for, the last year. So, how many of these are you doing? He says, no time to waste. I still have much to do. Maybe if you're doing, TikTok size ones, and you would have to be clocking in, a lot. I know that's the point, but also I'm just, logistically thinking about it. I'm that's not possible, right? I'm so confused. Thomas, dude. He's on the C's now. This is C251. The man sits in silence for a long while. The quiet grows heavy, thickening in the air until it feels as though he might drown in it. See, this is where it starts to get creepy. He says another failed experiment. I was prepared for this, but he throws himself back into the stagnant waters of silence. Thomas picks up the stack of experimental data from the table beside him, scanning the numbers once more, though he's already checked them countless times. He says the Gibbs variables, which I don't know what that is, that might just be something they made up, power output, conversion results, the Zhang function, I don't understand. Why can't I get the expected outcome in practice when using the value obtained by reversing the formula? Also, I think I made it clear, I've never played a Devil May Cry game. I know some of the memes because they're iconic, but that's about it. So if there is certain words used, and like concepts and things that from Devil May Cry, I'm probably not immediately going to pick it out unless it is something that's pretty well known. Same thing, I'm not caught up with the main story of PGR. So this is why I say I've been playing since global launch, but on and off, because I'm not like a super hardcore PGR player. And I think part of that is because I don't love the combat most of the time. So that's the whole thing. Anyways, Thomas says, is the formula wrong? No, the formula is correct, but no, this is wrong. Completely wrong. I think he's having his mental breakdown moment, which, you know what? We've all been there. He throws the papers violently to the ground, fingers raking through his unkempt hair in desperation. He says the hetero tower defies everything we thought was possible. I was a fool to trust those old theories. I mean, I can believe that. It's everything I've done in-game already regarding the hetero towers and stuff and the hetero cores. That doesn't surprise me. He says those so-called wise predecessors were nothing but a bunch of mediocrities. Dominic, do we know Dominic? Dominic was nothing special after all, he says. I feel like we might know Dominic. It sounds familiar. I'm going to derive a new formula. Time will be mine to command. After reaching this conclusion, Thomas silently rises and turns off the camera. Ooh, we're breaking the fourth wall now because we're getting the stuff that happens. Oh no, we're getting another experiment log entry. This is C1564. He says failed again. The camera flickers on for a moment, then off again. Yeah, so maybe they are just like one line experiment logs like that. Now we're just getting into like written ones. So this is C1677, failed. C1754, failed. C2065, failed. C2480, failed. And it probably keeps going like that for a while. Because now we have red text on a black background and it's in caps now. All right, we're to E32. Thomas says researcher, because usually he starts each one with researcher Thomas Hell. But he says, who else but a lunatic like me would do these experiments? He doesn't even give his name. He lets out a self-deprecating chuckle. I have an idea, he says. It's risky, but I want to give it a try. If my mentor knew what I was thinking, she'd be furious. But in the end, someone mediocre like me can only resort to this kind of method. His words gradually fade away, yet his bloodshot eyes glimmer with the ghost of a smile. Like there's two levels of mad scientist, and it's like you have Grace from Zenless Zone Zero, and then you have this. Then you have this. His thoughts drift back to long ago, when he wore not the white coat of an experienced researcher, but the humble garb of a still green student. Ah, flashbang. Hello. During a tranquil afternoon in the academic building, Thomas clutches his papers and eases open an office door with cautious hands. He isn't sure if the occupant is resting or even wants to be disturbed, so he holds his breath and steps inside on light feet. There, behind the broad expanse of her desk, sits his mentor, Miss Valentina. She seems in a trance, her gaze lost in the depths of a photograph. I'm pretty sure, I don't think Valentina's one of us. Thomas's gaze unconsciously follows his mentor's, landing on that group photo of 4 people. He recognizes only 2, his mentor herself and Ms. Schwartz. I don't know who's who. Of the remaining 2, one is a kind-faced middle-aged man, and the other a young person from Kulong. So this is taking place definitely within the PGR universe. So these might just be people I don't know about. Something about the scene holds Thomas transfixed. An indescribable tension hangs between them like an invisible wall, making him hesitate to interrupt Valentina and pull her back to reality. But Valentina notices him anyway. So this one, the like silhouette must be Valentina. She says, curious. Thomas says, sorry. Thomas doesn't respond right away, taking a moment to realize Valentina is talking about the people in the photo. He says, who are those people? And Valentina says they are the people who changed this world. Compared to them, most people in this world are just mediocre, myself included. So that must be where he got that like wording from. He did get it from his time as a student. Thomas says, you're being too modest. The director of the Science Council could never be considered mediocre. Valentina chuckles at his words and waves her hand at the young man, her voice tinged with melancholy. She says, how am I not mediocre? Thomas shakes his head as if trying to dislodge the memories. So we immediately flash back to reality. His gaze falls to the papers strewn across the floor and he squeezes his eyes shut in anguish. He says, you're right, Miss Valentina. How am I not mediocre? Only now does he understand what his mentor meant by mediocre and the torment of being mediocre. She said, we're all mid. Crimson alarms shriek throughout the laboratory, wrenching Thomas awake from unconsciousness, who finds his body sprawled on the floor. Did he finally just, like, pass out? As he fights to piece together the last moments, a knife-sharp headache splits his skull, scattering his thoughts. That was me yesterday, quite frankly. Migraine gang. In his days, he only recalls a few blurry fragments. Ooh. Okay, so something definitely happened. And it's very... Oh, Jetavi? Jetavi, is that you? Space splintering like glass, a deafening explosion, and laughter. Cold, mocking, cruel. An unknown voice laughs and says, humans. I don't know if this is the big bad from Devil May Cry, because I thought that was Virgil. There's Dante, by the way, or Jetavi, because it could be her. Because that's the bit. We kind of had, like, we were fast-tracking patches for a while with PGR, and that might just be because they had to do the Devil May Cry collab, because we kind of had some fast-tracked patches in Reverse as well, because Hisabeth needed to be released before they could do the Assassin's Creed collab, because Hisabeth got a garment. I'm thinking there might be a similar situation happening here, where they had to release Jetavi before this collab, because Jetavi is a component of it, possibly. But an unknown figure who we know as the audience to be Dante says, what is happening? Wind screams past his ears as the man suddenly understands. He's falling from the sky. This is some hetero tower nonsense, if I've ever seen it. With no time to question why he's here, the man reacts on instinct. Crimson energy crackles around him, surging from his body as swirling red particles engulf his form. So whereas with the Reverse 1999 collab, the Reverse characters were thrown into the Assassin's Creed universe, it seems like with this collab, these Devil May Cry characters, Dante and Virgil, are being thrown into the Punishing Grey Raven universe. Very similar setup though, with like the hetero towers kind of bringing them here. And then in Reverse, X has his little mad scientist machine that throws the Reverse characters into a different universe, being the Assassin's Creed universe. Makes sense. Interestingly enough, they were done similarly, it seems like. In an instant, his figure twists and expands until a red demon looms in the air, his massive wings beating to steady the descent. I do know this is part of the game now. I found that out with the character releases. There's a boom, and the ground trembles as he lands, dust billowing around him. Then, just as quickly, the red demon shifts back to his human form. Like, do I like the half man, half demon thing? Yes, absolutely. Don't know how I feel about the game yet, though. But the white-haired man in a red coat surveys his surroundings, only to be met with the bleak expanse of desolated ruins. He says, what the hell is this place? Welcome to Punishing Grey Raven! Anyways, at some ruins on the surface, which if we're talking about reused assets, I'm pretty sure this specific asset was used in the Nier Automata collab. Same one. A white-haired man in a dark blue coat with green patterns also turns his gaze toward the ruins, where red glowing mechanoids approach ominously. The commotion of the landing has attracted the attention of these corrupted. They are in the PGR universe, because we have corrupteds. And this unknown man, who we know to be Virgil, says, interesting. So we already know who they are. I'm assuming that the PGR characters do make a appearance, because they're like right here. Which is, again, interesting because in the Nier Automata collab, the original PGR characters, I believe, do not make an appearance, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think maybe they do. No, I think they do. Now that I think about it, do they? I don't remember. Oh my god, it's been so long. I did it like twice, technically, because I did technically I did it like 3 times. 4, and maybe I would say 3.5, because I did it the first run, and then I edited all that footage, so I got to watch it again. Then they reran it. I did it a speedrun version, so I kind of like cut out certain sections of it that didn't need to be there, and then I think I did the rest of it off camera, and then I edited the parts together. I think I have no idea, but I did it at least like 3 times. So that being said, I don't know if they're gonna rerun this collab. They did rerun the Nier Automata collab, but I don't know if they'll have the rights to do that for this one. Because that's the reason why collabs and things wouldn't get rerun and the characters are only available for a limited time, is because they lose IP rights after a certain amount of time. So, but we're gonna do part 1 now, officially, the beginning. I foresee, in the future, the land wakes up from sleep. Okay. And now we really start the Lamento di Phantasma extra story. Half an hour into the video. To be fair though, I did some other combat stuff. The transport vehicle hurtles through the wilderness, its tires churning up a swirling dust storm in its wake. The road, long forgotten and riddled with potholes, sends the vehicle lurching and shuddering along the broken path. So we also play a character in this, and we can ask Lucia. If you're new here for whatever reason, I feel like, because with reverse I was trying to explain it, if you're new here for whatever reason, I don't know why you're watching my video, because I'm not an authority on this game at all. I'm not a creator for PGR. I've tried to fill out the form like 4 times, and I never get a response from anyone, but I've filled it out multiple times. But we're the Commandant. We have Lucia, we have Lee, we have Liv. Lucia's the red one, Lee's blue, Liv is pink. You'll figure that out in a second if you're new. Anyways, we technically don't have a form, but like we have like a hand if it ever shows. Anyways, we can ask Lucia, how much longer will it take us? Lucia, this is her new form, her new frame, so it's not as red, but you can still kind of see the red. She says it'll take 15 minutes though. And then see, Liv. I don't know why they didn't give Liv one of her newer frames. This is like her OG frame, and yes, it's cute, but like Lee and Lucia get their new frames, so like, hello? Liv says this is already the 12th conservation area, and we do a little skip. I think we need to give Liv an updated, like, small frame, because she has like larger frames. Like I have Liv, like one of Liv's larger frame models on my login screen, or like my main bridge screen. I feel like we need to give her an updated, like, smaller frame, because that's what ends up happening is that they use Liv's OG frame when they want to like have her be the shorter one with the rest of the Grey Ravens. I don't know why they keep doing it, because her newer frames are really pretty. Anyways, 2 weeks ago, multiple surface conservation areas came under attack by unidentified hetero creatures. I'm curious if those are hetero creatures that were like fallout from the dudes coming to the PGR universe, or if those hetero creatures are just Dante and Virgil, like in their demon forms or something like that. Worse yet, nearly all personnel from the affected sites have since gone missing. What started as a small-scale incursion has swiftly escalated, and the window to rescue the attacked conservation areas is closing fast. I'm gonna assume these bat creatures are monsters from Devil May Cry, and I'm curious how they will represent them in-game, because back during the Nier Automata collab, we didn't have special new opponents to fight in-game. They didn't design new ones, they just gave us old opponents, and we're like, yeah, just imagine it. So it was still very good though, and who are you? These coordinated strikes defy the usual behavior of hetero creatures. Is something or someone pulling the strings behind the scene? Another entity like Cradle, perhaps. Is this Cradle? I'm not caught up on PGR story, but Cradle is cute. Cradle's cute. Another reason to get caught up with the main story. Here's Lee! I really like Lee. I'm gonna be annoying about Lee at least once while we record these videos, just expect it. Anyways, he says, according to the collected data, over 1,600 people have gone missing, with 187 deaths confirmed so far. The majority of casualties occurred during the initial attacks, which is understandable, you're not expecting it. In just the first 3 days, 5 conservation areas were hit simultaneously, resulting in over 700 missing and more than 60 deaths. That's a lot of death. But Babylonia has swiftly adapted its tactics, deploying its most agile elite squads as Vanguard scouts to gather critical intelligence. Based on their findings, the support force would then mobilize, ensuring rapid reinforcement where needed. Reports of disappearances and deaths among conservation area residents have dropped sharply since. But it's not enough. No matter how fast Babylonia moves, the hetero creatures always seem one step ahead, leaving defenders scrambling to keep up. Lee says the conservation area requesting aid earlier has a permanent population of around 400 people. If this time, Lee pauses, leaving his thought unfinished. 4 hours have passed since you received the distress signal. Lucia remains silent, her hands clenched around the steering wheel as she fights to keep the vehicle steady on the dilapidated, mud-slicked road. See, I thought we were the one driving. It's probably a good thing that we're not. Looking at my own personal driving skills, you don't want me to drive this thing. But Lucia, how's everything with your new frame? See, it's a new frame. This is like from a couple patches ago. Lucia says it's functioning well with no adverse reactions. And we say good. That's good. I hope that doesn't come back to bite us in the butt later. Lucia says we've reached the target location. Good. Everything's great. In alternate Earth, the vehicle rolls into the target conservation area, but only a deathly silence answers. The ground is streaked with dark pools of blood. Great. The walls riddled with bullet holes. The acrid tang of gunpowder lingers, sharp in the still air. Around you, the once pristine buildings stand broken and skeletal, as hungry flames lick through the wreckage, devouring all they touch. I also misclicked a little bit, but it's fine. We didn't skip through anything. Lucia asks, are we too late? And we just say, let's start searching. Lee, go up and keep watch. I think with this frame, he's a sniper, so that's why he's up top. And he says, understood. Liv, you're with me. Awesome. I love to travel with Liv. But it's because medical assistance may be needed on the ground, obviously. She's like the healer of the group, if you're new. Basically, rundown to the team. We're like the leader. We don't really fight, but we do get a gun every now and then. Lucia is going to be like is like your main DPS of the team. She's on the ground, sword fighting, all that jazz. Lee is usually more ranged. He's up top. That's why we have him go up top this time. And then Liv is obviously the healer. She's your support. So that's the Grey Raven squad. Sometimes we're allowed to have a gun. But yeah, we tell Lucia we'll split up and search, and she says, all right. Chaos envelops the scene, the shadow remnants of constructs littering the ground. Constructs are these are, Liv is a construct. Liv, Lucia, and Lee are constructs. I'm pretty sure we're not. So there is still some non-construct humans. But there's your explanation. I'm not making it again. Liv says, over there. Liv's gaze leads you to a clearing with a sandbox and exercise equipment. What appears to be a public recreation area nestled within the conservation area. That was the park! Amid the open ground, a lone baseball lies abandoned. Perhaps once the children's toy, now its surface is marred by blood. Dear God. See, PGR does a mean story, a mean gut punch, but I do not like the combat. And you know what? I personally, if the story's worth it enough, I will keep coming back. Why do you think I've come back so many times over the last 4 years? Anyways, we say, let's continue searching. Don't let your guard down. And moments later, you find the entrance to an underground shelter hidden beneath the conservation area. But its isolation door lies in ruins. You know, at least they were able to like get underground. I hope that they weren't attacked down there, but like, fingers crossed, man, fingers crossed. The shattered fragments in the ground have unnervingly clean, precise edges. And we say this precision, it doesn't match hetero creature behavior. I also realize I'm covering. So hold on, real quick. I'll move the box. Ba-boom. I forgot that the text goes here. So yeah, it doesn't match hetero creature behavior. So it is either creatures that came over from the Devil May Cry world. I'm assuming that's a different alternate Earth. I'm not sure. Or it could just be like Dante and Virgil. And not necessarily Dante, but maybe Virgil? Liv says it was a blade. Could it be an ascendant? We say it could also be a cradle-like entity. But Lucia says over here, and you and Liv rush to Lucia's side, only to find a fallen construct beside her, barely clinging to life. So we tell Liv to treat him, and the injured construct says thank you. One look tells Liv all she needs to know. The construct is past saving with your current medical capabilities. Because yeah, we literally just brought one healer. I'm assuming that Babylonia is probably sending other people, but like right now we don't have that luxury. If it took us 4 hours to get here, like we were the speedy ones. Liv says to hang in there, and the injured construct says don't bother. I know my condition. And the construct barely registers Liv's healing attempts, fully aware of his inevitable fate. We're already are gut punching. Yeah, because that's the thing. When they don't have names, it's not as much of a gut punch. But then when you name the characters that are dying, it's like, okay, well, now you gave me somebody to mourn, and I'm gonna cry. He says, I'm Danny, one of the constructs stationed at this conservation area. He retrieves the terminal, slick with his own vital fluid, don't even want to know what that is, from his chest, handing it over along with his identification tag. He says, I recorded some footage that night that might be useful. I mean, if we have visuals of what we're looking for, then yeah. That was literally his final words. So his final words were, here, this might be helpful for you. Take that dude out. And that's the most I can say without getting demonetized. With those final words, the light in his eyes immediately fades away. Liv, me too, girl. Me too. Oh dear. We say let's give him a proper burial. It's what he deserves. That footage is going to help us. For sure. After erecting a simple memorial for the people of this conservation area, you access Danny's terminal, viewing the footage for answers. And within the recording then, he says, this is Danny, a construct stationed at this conservation area. We're under attack. He faces the camera, speaking rapidly. There are many hetero creatures, he says. There's a screech, and a hetero creature lunges at Danny from afar, forcing him to dive aside as his terminal clatters to the ground. The video recorded by the device reveals the creature's bat-like forms and fluid flight. So that's what we saw earlier. We saw these bats. It's freaking bats. I shouldn't be making jokes. People are dying. They already died. Lucia says the hetero creatures match the information previously gathered. And in the footage, Danny springs to his feet and opens fire on the hetero creature. Lucia says the conservation area couldn't have fallen this fast if it was just hetero creatures. As if to confirm Lucia's words, Danny's resistance seems short-lived. Yeah, because they were prepared for hetero creatures, but this is like a totally new, different thing from a different alternate Earth. A blurry figure appears from the corner of the frame, followed by a brutal, lightning-fast slash. Danny barely manages to react, but it's too late. His blade shatters right in front of his chest in a spray of vital fluid, which is blood, but it's construct blood. The unknown figure halts, the responsible weapon glinting briefly before being smoothly sheathed. Yet, due to the camera's angle, only the person's lower body is captured in the frame. So it's these bat, not hetero creatures, bat creatures, we'll call them, as well as probably one of the brothers. Again, I was gonna say again, my money's on Virgil, and what do you know? It's the hem of a dark blue coat. What do you know? Because I know in the Devil May Cry franchise, you play as Dante, and you do fight Virgil at one point. I know about the lawn chair scene. All right, that one I do know about. So I know you fight Virgil at some point, because that's the premise to that's the reasoning behind the lawn chair scene. The lawn chair scene, which I know also the lawn chair is a mod. I know he doesn't actually sit in a lawn chair. I'm pretty sure someone modded that in, and it became a meme. Kind of like how the I forget which Metal Gear game it is, but like the what's your source? I made it up. That's not real in the game either. That is from a fan-made meme video, and they just got the voice really right, like really on point. Like I know that, like yeah, it's not real game content. But in the rest of the footage, bat-like hetero creatures descend in swarms, snatching up the remaining survivors. So that's why they've been going missing, is because they're being picked up off the ground by these giant bats. One by one, the humans are carried off into the distance. Now you find the answer to why the people in the attacked conservation areas all went missing. Yes, we did. It's the freaking bats! Anyways, we say let's report our current findings, and Lee says, flying hetero creatures spotted behind the mountains to the south. Oh! See, I thought he was questioning it. Nope, we have found the creatures. They're moving fast as well. So what's the number of them? He says visual estimate of around 40 to 50. What's our estimated time to engagement, Lee? 30 seconds. Awesome. Prepare to engage, Grey Ravens. The bat-like hetero creatures soon descend upon the conservation area. More than 40 of them swarm in overlapping layers, their ghostly silhouettes blotting out the sun, plunging the ground below into an eerie, bone-chilling darkness. So is Virgil gonna pop up with them? Ooh, there's our Grey Ravens. The one thing is, I can't make the UI go away, so we're gonna have the, we can't get a clear shot. Oh, and one of the bats is up here. Hold on. You can kind of see it if I move the box here. Like, that's the bat. There, full bat, right there. That's a creepy... They circle in the sky, their shrieks and howls rending the air. A cacophony like hell's own laughter, mocking the fragility of the humans beneath them. Again, I know when we were playing Reverse, I pointed out specifically, like the writing is so good, the localization is so good, and that Kuro is just as good, I will say that. So I keep pointing back, they like do these visual novel segments so well. Death rides in their wake, their joy found only in the spilling of blood. Then, as one peels away in a sudden dive, the rest follow in a synchronized frenzy, the swarm surging downward like a tidal wave. The attack has begun. There they are! There's our great... This is such a cool shot as well. Lee and Liv open fire in unison, unleashing a storm of bullets. Their shots tear through the hetero creatures swarming from above, while Lucia cuts down any that breach their line. The Grey Raven squad moves with practiced precision. If the four of you keep this rhythm, the creatures won't last much longer. See, we're not even in the shot. I'm assuming the like idea is like we're probably behind Lucia, so we made like a square situation. But still, I would like to be in the shot, quite frankly. Unseen, lurking in the shadows behind your sight, another hetero creature waits. It doesn't strike from the sky, but instead lunges forward from the ground. The moment it lunges, you catch its shadow. Countermeasures flash through your mind, each considered and discarded in rapid succession. You could take it alone, but a careless move could leave you wounded or break the squad's current formation. We call out for Lucia. She says, Roger. And I think we are about to go into... Nope, not going into a fight. Lucia is already poised for the strike, her blade gleaming in anticipation. Once closer, the creature would meet steel. I'm curious if it's going to be one of the guys. Something else moves faster. Money's on Dante. A blur too fast to track hurls into view. By the time you register the motion, it's already over. The hetero creature screeches and crashes to the ground, shrieking, impaled. Only then do you see it clearly. A massive sword. The sword has a strange appearance, its hilt textured like scales, its handguard tipped with 4 jagged talons. Half of the blade is now buried in the ground. A true devil weapon. Anyone who sees it would instinctively think of such a description. They kind of said the thing. Devil. you know. While you examine closely, the devil sword pinned in the ground suddenly dissipates into red particles. Yep, that's our Dante. There he is! He says, wow. From the direction the sword came from, someone lets out an exclamation. A white-haired man in red stands atop the ruins, posture loose, a smirk tugging at his lips. Also, I hope that this music doesn't get me demonetized because I've had problems with PGR before. He says, looks like you guys need some help. I don't know what voice to give Dante, so again, I'm just gonna read it as normal. It's been 52 minutes, and usually we do an hour, so that means we're gonna start part 2. The description for this stage just says, I'm Dante, I'm a devil hunter. I'm assuming that's probably I'm assuming that's something he says in the series, you know? Play story, let's go. This will be the last one for today though. I thought he was gonna say yeehaw, but he says yee-ah. Yeah, sure. As if it were nothing more than a game, the man in red cuts through the hetero creatures with effortless precision, because he doesn't know what these things are yet. Like, he just got here and he's like, all right, cool, we're fighting bats. During the battle, he also displays masterful gunmanship. We say you. And he says, running away already? Not so fast. When the few remaining hetero creatures turn to flee, the man in red immediately gives chase without a second thought. In just a moment, he runs off into the distance. So Liv says, looks like he's quite eager to help. Another unknown voice says, wait for me. I don't know if that's Virgil or not. A young person's voice echoes from another direction. Do we just have, oh, okay, so we know this person. We know this person. They know us at least. This is Fan. I've not met Fan before, but again, I'm not caught up on the main story, so it could be anything. Okay, yeah. You once carried out a mission with Noctis in New Oakley. That's where you first met the mayor's son. So I'm assuming New Oakley is supposed to be some sort of southern town, southern United States, probably, which means I could give Fan a southern accent if I really wanted to. I'm not gonna do it, but you know, listen, I brought the southern accent back out when we were doing Haunted Highway Redemption arc in reverse the other day, and I'm like, I mean, we could do it again. I haven't done an accent in a while. I'm not going to. Fan says, looks like you've already met Dante. So Fan already knows Dante. He's currently staying in New Oakley. So are we near then New Oakley? We came here following a distress signal from this conservation area. So is New Oakley supposed to, is it a southern state? I don't know. Could be anything. Anyways, Fan surveys the ruins around and lets out a sigh. He says, we still got here too late, huh? We can ask if New Oakley's been attacked, and Fan says, yeah, we've been under attack by those bat monsters since 2 weeks ago. So why did they not put in like the distress signal until 4 hours ago? We defeated the first wave of hetero creatures, but then more kept coming. Thankfully, Dante showed up just in time and helped us repel them. Without him, New Oakley would have fallen too. Lee did give some numbers though that made it sound like this has been going on for a minute, so that also makes sense. Again, though, thinking back on that now, why didn't they do the distress signal earlier? Maybe they were busy fighting. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. It's too late now, so we'll just go with whatever. It's too late to be like, well, you should have done this. It's too late. It's over. So Lee says these hetero creatures seem different from the ones we faced before. And Lucia says, yeah, I can't shake the feeling that there's something else to them, because they're not from this alternate version of Earth. We can ask something else. And Fan says, according to Dante, Dante finishes and says demons. At this moment, Dante, having defeated the fleeing hetero creatures, strides back towards you. So we ask, demons? ? His words are utterly shocking. For most people, demons are little more than relics of myth, whispers from forgotten tales. That's the thing. PGR is definitely more like based in like sci-fi, fantasy, heavy focus on the sci-fi, whereas I would say Devil May Cry is more fantasy focused, like almost more like an urban fantasy situation, modern fantasy, where PGR takes place in like a dystopian sci-fi fantasy world. There is still elements of fantasy, but it does focus more on the sci-fi. So obviously, different alternate versions of Earth here, different timelines, yes. In this era where technology reigns supreme, neither gods nor demons have ever been discovered. And yet, if such an entity does exist, the people of this land know it by another name. The punishing virus. Yes, that is kind of the explanation. And I do like that they're putting in some sort of explanation here, because obviously a collab in a game is going to bring in new players. There's going to be Devil May Cry fans who came in, and I know there was Devil May Cry fans who came in because they got into PGR and were like, whoa, the combat is kind of like, they really like the combat. That was another reason why I'm like, I think the combats are similar and I might not like the Devil May Cry combat. Now that I think about it. So, you know, but it's a good thing that we have a little bit of that explanation for people coming in. Obviously, this collab is over by the time this video goes up, but like, I appreciate that they put that in. But Dante says, yeah, they're demons, no mistake. Can smell the stink of those freaks a mile off. I kind of like this guy. He's kind of funny. We ask if demons do exist, then what are you? And Dante says, me. A wide grin spreads across his face as crimson particles swirl into his palm, summoning that devil sword from thin air. Visual proof to back his claim. He says, I'm Dante, I'm a devil hunter. That devil must be like Devil May Cry. Anyways, yeehaw, am I right? New Oakley, hey! The transport vehicle grinds to a halt at New Oakley, marking your second visit to this place. Yet the town feels starkly different this time, with a palpable tension hanging in the air. Yeah, this is definitely somewhere like southern United States. Walls now encircle the place, guarded by constructs perched in watchtowers. Residents move in hurried clusters, hauling crates of supplies. Despite the unease, life stubbornly persists. Makeshift stalls line the roadside, their owners hawking wares. A female peddler says, hey, Dante, try one of my apples. Dante effortlessly catches the apple tossed his way. We had apples in both collabs, both gacha game collabs. Dante thanks her, and a patrolling construct says, Dante, wanna grab a drink later? Wow, he's so popular. Dante says, see you there. An old cowboy. We do have cowboys! An old cowboy tips his hat to Dante from his seat by the doorway, and Dante returns the gesture with a grin. Liv says, Dante seems quite popular around here. Lucia agrees. Fan smiles gently at Liv's words. Is it Fan or Fawn? Or does it say Fan? Anyways, Fan says he's helped us fend off hetero creatures more times than I can count. To New Oakley, he's family now. As he speaks, though, Fan glances subtly in your direction, watching for your reaction. Probably because he knows us to be a good judge of character, but it's also because we're like the omniscient player characters. It's a thing. You understand his implication perfectly, but say nothing. It seems he still harbors some hostility toward Babylonia. Oh no, it's hostility towards Babylonia specifically, which is, if you're new here, hi. That is a common thing you see with a lot of like the civilizations still on ground on Earth. Babylonia is a big spaceship civilization up in space in the sky, because the punishing virus made most of the Earth in this timeline unlivable. So people went up to space and they live on a spaceship. That's Babylonia. And there's not a little bit, but there's like a quite considerable amount of resentment towards people that are like still stationed on Earth and like refugees on Earth compared to up in space in Babylonia. It costs like a certain amount of money to get up to Babylonia, and really it's kind of like that's where the rich people go, you know, like that sort of thing. So the fact that he does harbor some hostility toward Babylonia, that's not surprising. I would too, probably. Babylonia is not perfect. Anyways, as your group arrives at the tavern, Dante pushes the door open and turns to face everyone. He says, welcome to the finest establishment in New Oakley. All right. Despite the turmoil outside, the tavern hums with boisterous chatter. Perhaps most here have long since grown used to the uncertainty, to not knowing whether they would live to see dusk. For them, this is simply another day on the surface. A robust resident says, look who's back, Dante! Another round and one for my friend Dante here. Cheers! Dante accepts the full glass of golden liquid and leads the group to a quieter corner. So they got beer. All right. The tavern owner says, Dante, try my new pizza. I tweaked the recipe based on your suggestions. Should be much better this time. Dante says, perfect timing. The tavern owner also does recognize us because we have canonically been here before. We do say it's been a while. And the tavern owner says, about time someone from Babylonia showed up. I'll let you guys talk. The tavern owner, sensing the situation, walks away to leave you to your conversation. Leaning back into the sofa, I like how they like lowered him on the screen to show that. Dante adjusts himself with casual ease, his eyes fixed on you in silent appraisal. So he says, let's talk about payment for mopping up your demon problem. You're from, where was it again? Oh, right. Commandant of Babylonia. Yeah, we don't need to use the government names here. He takes a bite of pizza, his face betraying nothing. We say, let's first talk about those demons you mentioned earlier. Dante says, all right, we'll start there. So in my world, there's the human world and the demon world. I like how he's actually explaining things here because this actually gives us like the context for Devil May Cry, because it's very common going into like a collab thing. You have the explanation for the gacha game we're entering for players who are not playing the gacha game, but are like the non-gacha players coming to the gacha game for the non-gacha collab. That makes sense. But now we're getting a nice little explanation of how Devil May Cry works, which I appreciate as someone who's never played Devil May Cry, but has been playing PGR for 4 years. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hold on, we say. I'm not surprised by the lore though, because I read a lot of fantasy. I play a lot of fantasy games. Nothing can surprise me at this point. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's your world building. Sure, okay, there's 2 worlds, I gotcha. Dante says, what is it? And we ask, what do you mean by your world? Yeah, he got snatched up from his own world and is now here. Dante says, literally, my world. Got a problem with that? We say that's problematic. You're from another world. It's like y'all ain't never heard of an isekai? Dante says, from what I've figured out these past 2 weeks, yeah. Forcing down the shock rising in your chest, you gesture for Dante to continue. He says, in my world, there's the human world and the demon world. I think we just continues. The demon world is where demons live. Sometimes demons slip into the human world and start causing trouble. And my job is to take contracts and hunt them down. That would make sense that we kind of ended up in southern United States then. Where does the Devil May Cry franchise take place? What part of the US does it take place in? I don't know if I ever figured that out, but the South would make sense. It has that vibe. This is coming from somebody who lives in Texas. We ask, are all people in your world like you? And Dante says, what do you mean? So we ask about the sword, and he thinks it over, then smiles and shrugs, but his voice sharpens with sudden seriousness. Ah, he says half of me is demon blood. There it is. There's the reasoning. I think earlier I made a comment that he was half demon, half man, and I was right. I was right without ever having played the game. After a prolonged silence, Dante speaks up again. He says, whoops, did I scare you? And we just say, we've been through our fair share of things too. We're like, that's wild, but honestly, I've seen worse. It's not another it's not just another Tuesday type content, but it's not maybe it's top 10 weirdest things we've ever experienced, but it's definitely not top 5, Anyways, he says, I like that look in your eyes. So we ask, how did you end up in this world? And he says, wish I had an answer for you, but I'm just as clueless. It was the hetero tower from Mr. Hell, but we don't really know how that happened. We just know it's the hetero tower, but that's something we know, not the characters within the story. Virgil might know it. I don't know what he's up to, but Dante says, I was busy cleaning up demons in the demon world with someone when some crazy suction yanked me right into this place. I'm assuming the someone was Virgil. We ask, then you don't know how to get back either. And he says, I don't. But I've got the gist of your world situation. Maybe this Babylonia of yours can send me back home. So I'm guess this will end after he goes back or something. Curious. So here's the deal, he says. I'll help you clean up these demons, and in return, you'll help me get back to my world. Ooh, all the shots. Countless thoughts flood through your mind. Demons, a devil hunter. We say if demons are involved, maybe we should work with you. And Dante says, now we're talking. But we say, I need to report to my superiors. Not supervisors, superiors. Same difference. First, though. Dante doesn't mind waiting a bit longer, his demeanor remaining relaxed. He says, I'll be waiting for your call. And is that the end of today's video? No, it is not. Okay, so I'm assuming we explained it to someone up at Babylonia. We'll find out who in a second. And we say, that's it for my conversation with Dante. And it's Hassan. I was like, it's either Celica or Hassan. It's always one of them. Sometimes it's WGAA, but usually it's one of them first. Oh, Nicola's here too. Okay, interesting. Asimov's also here. Okay, Hassan asks if this is actually possible. Of course Asimov would be here. Yep. So Asimov says, scientifically speaking, the existence of other worlds hasn't been confirmed, though theories about them have been around over the past few centuries. So I guess this opens up a whole nother thread in PGR of, so we got other worlds now? That's a possibility, which honestly makes room for a lot of collabs down the road. Also makes room for the possibility of Withering Waves and PGR existing in the same tree of universes. And I'm using tree because that's what Hoyoverse uses as a term, and I can't think of a better one. So they got their own imaginary tree adjacent thing now, I guess. I'm gonna be sitting with that now. Withering Waves and PGR take place in the same tree. Anyways, plus, Asimov says, he rubs his temple, trying to ease the ache that doesn't truly exist. He says it is what it is. That's it. Fair enough. Hassan says, I see. And Nicola says, I think we can collaborate with him. They're just yeah, sure, fine. If demons do exist, then this Dante will be key to solving our problem. If they don't, he pauses for a moment. Nicola says he's only one person after all. Agents, ascendants, even an entity like Cradle. We've handled worse. One more strange existence doesn't concern me. Truly, it is what it is. Nicola says, I'll leave the specifics of the frontline situation to your judgment. We say roger that, and off we go. Back into the tavern. So Dante says, what do you say? And we say, it's a pleasure to work with you, Dante. He says, smart choice. And we say we also recovered a video. Think we missed something? So I'm assuming we're showing him Danny's video. Ooh, you replay the video on the terminal, and once again, the figure who delivered the slash flashes across the screen. He's like, yeah, that's Virgil. That's my brother. They're brothers, right? Are they brothers or cousins? I don't remember. Beside you, Dante's expression visibly darkens. A crushing aura erupts from him. Yeah, because he recognizes him. So Dante, yeah, he says, it's Virgil. We ask about Virgil, and Dante says, he's my brother. So they are brothers. I was like, they're either brothers or cousins. They're brothers. That makes 2 gacha game collaborations with a sibling storyline. We got beefing siblings and 2 gacha game collaborations. 2 out of 2 right now. I say that because Assassin's Creed Odyssey focuses on Cassandra and Alexios, and they are beefing siblings. But the air turns to ice. Lucia takes a small step forward, while Lee's right hand already rests on the grip of his gun. Fair enough. Listen, you do what you gotta do, Lee. It's very attractive. Anyways, Dante catches the tension coiling between them, but pays them no mind, simply walking back to the couch and sitting down again. He says, I fought him plenty of times. Because that's the thing, he said, that's my brother. And immediately Grey Ravens are like, oh, you're in cahoots with the guy. But no, this is him saying, like, I'm not in cahoots with him. But they were fighting demons together. Dante says, don't think he'd do something like this. But if this mess is tied to him, I'll handle him myself. There's some little beeps. And just as you are about to speak, your terminal's communication line rings. Is it Celica? Usually that means it's Celica. That's gonna be it for today, though. We have 4 hours left, which means I have to just sit here until we finish. I'm gonna go take a lap around my apartment, though, and then come back. But the lap is, I have a 1-bedroom apartment. It's not gonna be a long lap. So, somehow we ended up getting into the thick of it. I don't know how we're gonna finish it in time. Probably a lot of water. Right now, I still am drinking my little lemonade for the day, but I will refill my water bottle while I'm up. There we go. I'll do that while I'm up and come back, and we'll get to it. Once we hit like the 2-hour mark, I might start speedrunning. We'll see. But I actually kind of am enjoying this. Kuro usually does a pretty good story though, so like I'm not surprised that I'm enjoying it. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video though. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give me a like down below, as well as subscribe for more and click the little notification bell to be notified when I upload new ones. As always, I hope everyone had or is having a super lovely day wherever you are in the world. Don't beef with your brother, I guess, unless he's evil, or technically. And I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, guys!